If we take the one thing or getting things done, those frameworks I shown you before, you should know by now that to achieve big things, you need to focus on a smaller incremental bits, which are going to take you to that. But this is a different spin because we're basically going to now cover the underlying factors of why exactly is that. People like, for example, Skinner with his mammal operant conditioning is a prime example of that. Skinner, I don't know what's the right term, but maybe pioneered would be the appropriate term, outline exactly how mammals, we are mammals like anyone else, any human being, any animal actually respond to both negative and positive reinforcement. He outlines specifics which make you perform like yourself, which you can actually reflect and apply to yourself, to all your different behaviors, your attitudes. You can coach yourself if you want to achieve things. You can coach yourself to change behaviors. You can become a different person over time, with time, if you apply the right things. You are a much more evolved mammal, but you're still a mammal. You're still driven by the same responses, by the same needs, same human factors. The values underpinning exactly your decisions are exactly the same. If you want to read more about it and you want to hack yourself into a better ways of working or achievement, pick up this book called Don't Shoot the Dog. And Don't Shoot the Dog is it's a training guide for your dog, your cat, yourself, your spouse, your kids, your boss, your co-workers, your teammates, anyone you deal with. It outlines very specifically of how you should behave or what you should do if you want them to develop new behaviors. And it's not about manipulation. This is the positive side of that. If, for example, you want someone to stop doing something, you probably want to then positively reinforce their good behavior instead of saying, don't do that, don't do this, shout at them or belittle them in any how, or confront them. And we're all guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. I'm short-tempered, so I sometimes get at it and I'm just being like, I know myself, I have that thought in my head. This is not gonna result in anything good. This is not gonna work, but I still do it. And when I reflect on that, I'm like, damn it. I use negative reinforcement, and negative reinforcement doesn't lead to anything. And so it's almost like you could do that to yourself as well. It's, for example, when I coach people on habits and developing their self in any way, I'm always saying, well, I can give you the tools, but you are gonna need to do the hard work. And it's exactly the same. You must understand where you're at, but then actually start applying. Other bits is the behavior model. If you have done any behavioral design, if you have researched people, if you worked with humans and you want to change their behaviors, you probably have heard of Fogg's behavior model. If you haven't, Google it right now. It's BMAP. You can basically take this and use it in your design world, in yourself, in coaching better behaviors to your dog or to your cat or to your spouse or to your children. Doesn't really matter. This framework outlines really well and in very simple terms exactly what's needed to do that. For example, if you're, I don't know, showing up to meetings late, what could you do about it? Well, you first and foremost, you're going to need to consider exactly what's the easy thing to do, what's the hard thing to do, what's basically brings the high motivation, what brings the low motivation, and then place yourself with those prompts and triggers exactly what you could do to address it. What's the easiest thing for you to do, for example, to continuously do that and not fail in the prompts of where you basically they would bring to a failure? I don't know. It could be reminders. It could be that you ask a person to always tell you 5 minutes in advance that, hey, let's join a meeting. Maybe that's going to work. Something along those lines. But basically, this outlines exactly in the simplest terms the relationship between your motivation and your ability to do things. The easier you make it for your users, for yourself, for whoever you're coaching, if the motivation is high, the actual success is going to result on its own. A lot of that is covered in Tiny Habits book by BJ Fogg. You can just Google BJ Fogg and you're going to get all of it anyways. There is a lot of versions of it as well, but it's very, very powerful. Really important bit is that any change you take has to start with a very small step. What I loved with this example of I think it was BJ Fogg's method, but it was interpreted by marketing gurus or one of the authors, I'm blanking on a name, but basically their example was like, if you want to start flossing your teeth, for whatever reason, maybe it's not a habit you're doing right now, which your dentist is going to disapprove on. Anyways, if you want to start flossing your teeth, and that's your goal to do it daily, that person was recommending that you should probably start flossing just one tooth. And it sounds ridiculous, but if you can face that resistance and make an effort to floss one tooth every single day, then chances are, because you already started flossing one tooth, you're gonna end up flossing all of it. It's as simple as that. And this example to me is very brilliant. Maybe to you it's not gonna resonate as much, but if you wanna make any changes, if you wanna improve how you get things done, if you wanna improve how you perform and achieve things, you must start small and you must scale it up. It's as simple as that. You must recognize what you want to do, work backwards, define those baby steps, and if it is flossing, well, now you have it. Now you know exactly how to start flossing. It's as easy as that.